Our vote was unanimous. Why? Because we're the ACLU. We have to stand for something, and what is that? Justice, and we are opposed to violations of human rights.
Passing this resolution for the freedom of Palestinian people so that there is a ceasefire and that process can move forward, I think is historic.
The ACLU in the past has taken positions on other situations, apartheid in South Africa, which is pretty analogous to the situation in Gaza and in the West Bank as well. Also in Vietnam, hundreds of thousands of people in the street and discrimination that some of them faced. So it's well within ACLU's purview to comment on this.
What we're asking for is a ceasefire. This isn't about one side versus the other. This is about justice for human beings, period. So free the hostages, an immediate ceasefire right now to stop any military aid from the United States going to Israel so that we're not co-conspirators in this atrocity, so we're not co-conspirators in this genocide, and to stop any legislation that continues to support us being involved in the devastation of one group of people over another.
Here in Hawaii, there is a long history of fighting occupation and militarization. So we have very strong allies and allyship with Kanaka Maoli. The pilina between Palestinians who are struggling for their self-determination and Kanaka Maoli and their allies here sort of raising our voices for deoccupation is very powerful.
Our mandate is to protect the Bill of Rights. And in so many cases in this current situation, the Bill of Rights is being ignored or diminished, like threatening protesters with expulsion from universities, for example, with denying professors tenure or just putting pressure on them.
And you go back to the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, when apartheid was in, I was in college and we're protesting. And now all of a sudden, when college professors, college students organize on campuses, protesting Israel's and the United States' involvement in the genocide of innocent men, women, and children in Palestine, our First Amendment rights are being trampled on. People are being called before Congress, before the U.S. Senate, right? Presidents of universities, deans of law school, creating that fear that if you speak, we will retaliate. If you speak, there's going to be consequences. Now, if you say something positive towards Israel killing all these people, we ain't got no problem with you. But say something about Israel in a negative way, and you're going to come see us.
I think the administration has been successful in conflating, saying that any criticism of Israel is anti-Semitic. Obviously, the ACLU is strongly against anti-Semitism, any kind of discrimination against any people for religion, national origin, or anything.
To support Palestinian freedom is not anti-Semitic.
There shouldn't be an exception to freedom of speech. People should not be punished because of the content of whatever they're protesting. This has happened many times in this country in times of war. Our American civil liberties and civil rights are diminished. And they always say, well, after the Patriot Act, for example, they'll come back after the crisis is passed. And somehow they really never do.
It's important for us to be able to speak the truth to power, because without that voice, without the ACLU protecting the rights of others to speak, you can't shine a light on the injustice. People will change or will say something once they know what's going on is wrong. And the only way that people can know what's going on is wrong is to communicate it. And so sometimes it's in the government's interest to keep the people ignorant, especially when they're doing something they know is unjust. It's unjust to be invested in apartheid. It was unjust. But as long as we're making money, we being institutions in America, companies in America, same way back then as they are now, selling weapons to help kill the people.
U.S. military aid is facilitating the violation of human rights in the catastrophe that we are seeing unfolding in Gaza, as well as the brutalization in the West Bank.
Numerous war crimes of all sorts are being committed, many of them with weapons that the U.S. has provided. It's now affecting people who are living in the U.S. and U.S. citizens who are living there. And it also impacts the standing of the United States in the world, that we are supporting this regime that has been roundly criticized by the vast majority of nations in the UN, for example, repeatedly over the years, and the U.S. is always the one that still supports them no matter what.
To continue on and pulverize people, killing innocent men, women, and children, just to make a statement, it just goes beyond the pale of any type of human decency. And we have agreed to, we being the United States government, to become co-conspirators in your genocide.
We are not as humans built to watch this day in and day out. Many of us have friends and know people who have family in Gaza and who are suffering, and the losses that they have suffered have no place for acknowledgement. And the scale of it is the scale of genocide, and all the international human rights bodies have recognized that. This resolution is going to be kind of path-breaking. I hope that it sets a precedent for other affiliates to come forward and pass similar resolutions. I think we modeled a language that is both compelling, clear, unambiguous, but also compassionate.